Getting blood from a little baby is probably easier than getting blood from a fully experienced, highly combative, excellent fighter Jedi. So you're like, oh, get the tiny infant.
It's like, you don't want my blood. I don't want your blood.
Hey, Litternet! It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about The Mandalorian. Season 2, Episode 4, Chapter 12, The Siege. We open with a comedic scene between Mando and Baby Yoda. It reminded me a lot of Rocket Raccoon trying to give instructions to Baby Groot.
Yes.
Push the button. Don't push the button now! But anyway, so the red wire, the blue wire.
It's okay. They're both Disney. So
That's true. I can totally borrow from it. Like, we'll just see Rocket Raccoon in the background. It's a silly little scene. It's just when he actually shocks himself. I mean, I was like, whoa, wait, did we just kill a baby? He's Baby Yoda, so no, he is invulnerable.
A high M count should be good for something.
We'll get to that. We'll get to the M counts. Lots of M&Ms. They're delicious. If I get a whole M count of M&Ms, I'm good with that. Despite Baby Yoda's best efforts to fix the ship, surprisingly, he's not a very good engineer. So the ship is still in terrible need of repair. And so rather than go straight to Ahsoka Tano, Mando decides, you know what? Going to get repairs for the ship, the Razor Crest, at Navarro.
His buddies Greef and Cara.
Greef and Cara from Season 1. It ends with now a fully functional Razor Crest heading off to meet with Ahsoka Tano. But
just a little dirtier for the, Yoda vomit that's in it.
True. Well, it's pastel vomit, so it's pretty.
Oh, wow.
I did like the touch that he wipes it up with his cape. I think he's like, yeah, it's fine. Not sure what that cape does, by the way. But anyway, okay. So they're on their way to Ahsoka Tano, but very important cutscene happens. And we see that, the giant Imperial cruiser go by. It's Moff Gideon's ship. And we find out there's a tracker that's been placed on the Razor Crest. Moff Gideon is after Baby Yoda, which also means he's going to be heading towards Ahsoka Tano. And we see that there's these rows of dark troopers. Which is kind of a big deal. I last encountered them myself. I don't know if you know this, Paul. I fought bark troopers. I fought dark troopers back in the 90s.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not very impressive, the bark transfers, but okay.
Yes, bark transfers, much easier game than dark forces. So this is being, I don't know if it's pulled from a video game, but essentially that's where we first saw dark troopers, and here they are again. And dark troopers are not necessarily people. I mean, they're cyborgs. So they have a human component, like a clone, but then there's a lot of cybernetics going on. So they're very controllable in that way, like a robot. But they're super soldiers. And, in some ways it's about time because, as we saw in this episode as well, the last two episodes in particular, stormtroopers are so disposable. I mean, it's almost like they're not even in the way. When Mando's walking down the hall, it's like, it's like swatting at flies. Jesus, get out of my way, thank you. So to have an actual threat might be, this could be that. Could be dark troopers suddenly are like, oh shoot, they might actually kill us. Worthy opponents.
They still won't, so,
I don't know. This is where the show turns on a dime. Mando dies. But I think this might be the way this is going as well while we're talking about the Dark Troopers. I think this would be a really cool narrative touch. In order to make them perhaps more invulnerable, it would be pretty cool if Moff Gideon used the Beskar that he almost certainly stole from Mandalore when he took over to armor up his troops. Hence, when they're fighting Mando, not only will they be, resistant to blaster fire, but it'll be one of those the code. You can't wear Mandalorian armor if you're not a Mandalorian. I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
We also see is Gina Carano as Cara Dune. Gina Carano caused a little controversy on Twitter But
really?
as Cara Dune, I think she's making a run to have her own spin-off show called Cara Dune and Timon. She's got the little... She rescues a meerkat, essentially, that becomes her friend. She's going to be like, look, are you the only bounty hunter with a cute puppet sidekick? I don't think so. Check it out, Timon. Anyway, Timon bursts into song. But also Disney. There, it all circles around. Okay. So yes, she does a cool little fight sequence, takes out those Aqualish. Those are the guys that look like walrus faces that we last saw. New Hope, Panda Baba with the "he doesn't like you." Well, there are a lot of those guys who didn't like people in this bar, and Cara Dune takes them out. She is the marshal on Navarro, so much like Cobb Vanth is the marshal on Tatooine. Cara Dune, so we're seeing kind of that's where the law is coming around in marshaldom, kind of the old West style on these planets. Greef Karga is, if he's a governor, he's a magister, he's kind of a leader figure. And we see that Navarro is actually in pretty good shape. Like, it's not the hive of scum and villainy that it once was. We see it's got a school. We'll talk about the school in a second, but it's got a school for what that's worth. It's got they put a statue to honor IG-11 in the town square. IG-11, if you remember in season 1, sacrificed himself to take out a whole bunch of stormtroopers. So the town seems to be functioning fairly well under the tutelage of Greef and Cara. Well done, those folks. They're making repairs on the ship. They're like, hey, you know what? It's going to take a while to make repairs. You know what you could do in the meantime? You could just put your feet up and eat some ice cream, but no, we've got a base to take out. So there's apparently one more left holdover Imperial base on the planet. It's almost abandoned. It's got a skeleton crew. In, out. They're going to overload the reactor, blow it up, and that'll be the last Imperial presence on the planet. Navarro can just take off as a trade power. Mando, of course, is like, all right, let's go blow stuff up. And so they...
earlier you're just reminding me that you were talking about things about our world that don't exist in this world. And
sure.
Particularly how information is passed along.
Right, we were talking about this before we did the video, but yeah.
Right, and even though they seem to pass money along fairly well, there's plenty of bartering that goes on in this world too. It's
very true. Well, and Mando seems to take a lot of stuff in trade, too. Yeah. You do this service for me, I'll do this thing for anyway. Yeah, what we were talking about specifically was that here's another protocol droid. It's a teacher, and at this point, Mando at least already has a directive. Go to Corvus and you'll see Ahsoka Tano. But this is yet another thing that he could just ask about Jedi, and he just doesn't. It's like, oh look, there. So it seems like in this world, the idea of a database where you just ask questions and it gives you trivia and or facts.
Although, if you think about that order,
Order 66,
they might have purged that information about the Jedi.
Well, it's weird. It seems selective, right? So we have things like, we'll see a little bit later where there's the hologram essentially. Hey, look, let me leave you a message. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. This protocol droid is giving history lessons. You could hear it talking about different planets, so it's given geography or whatever. And yet, the idea of, hey, ship, I don't know, the Razor Crest, for instance. Ship, what do you know about the Jedi? It doesn't have that, apparently. That's not a thing. But it just, anyway.
Yeah, but they could have purged that information.
True. I'm sure some of the, but not everything, right? Okay, maybe. Sure.
People haven't even heard of it.
Gone. In the classroom scene, we've got, they put Baby Yoda there to as a nursery while they go do this job. And so he's sitting in this classroom. Again, they're doing a comedic scene. He wants the kid next to him his cookies, his macarons, I believe. And the kid's like, no, I'm not giving you my cookies. Which, why should he? It's a stranger. Little kid shows up. He's like, eat my cookies. Anyway, he turns away. While he does, apparently no one's looking in the classroom because they might have gone, what? But Yoda, woo, 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 woo. I say Yoda. Baby Yoda, woo, 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 takes the cookies and starts eating them. And I was just making the point that I think it was a very mature response from the kid whose cookies were stolen. Like he does this look over, and he quietly is judging Baby Yoda, but he doesn't just go nuts. Like my elementary school, Nanky Poo Elementary in Fortson, Georgia. I think if I had stolen someone's cookies and was eating them in front of them, I think there'd have been some kind of a ah! Anyway, so just saying, Navarro, much better place to grow up apparently than Fortson, Georgia. Hats off to Navarro. You teach your kids well.
Just for the record, there are times when there are too many cuddly scenes with the Yoda puppet.
Okay.
So I could have done without that little excursion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's one of the, well, we saw him use force powers kind of to like draw the eggs to him that were in the canister, but that's about the only time we've really seen him use force powers in this season. Yeah, I get you. They're using him as this comedic relief, little boop, boop. They switch back and forth kind of thing. Like, oh, intense action. Oh, look, he's getting a cookie. Yeah, he upchucks it later when on the roller coaster ride. We are reintroduced as well to Mithral, Horatio Sands' character, the little fish-looking guy from season 1. He makes the comment that he still can't see out of his left eye thanks to being frozen in carbonite. Like, oh, poor old the Mithral. He is working off a 350-year debt to Grief by just working it off, which sounds like slavery, but and then Grief will just make him do things he doesn't want to do by going, well, I'll take a couple years off. You want to come with us? Like, okay. So he takes him on the land speeder to the site. He's told to wait in the speeder. Then when they can't get in, he's like, yeah, bring your stuff and get us in. And then he wants to go back to the speeder. They're like, well, there's a lot lava tides. So it's just funny that they were going to leave him out in the speeder at the expense of the lava tides until they needed him. They're like, well, actually, you were probably going to die, so why don't you come with us? So yes, Mithral is involved, and I say Mithral, I think it's his species as opposed to his name.
That's how he's listed in IMDb. So
Horatio goes with him. They find out rather quickly that A, not abandoned. B, it's not a base as much as it's a lab. And that becomes very important. Some big overarching plot hints, at least, come through this episode. A couple of things. One, in the lab we see these big tanks, liquid-filled tanks, with multiple folks in them. One of those folks that they really close in on looks a lot like Snoke. It's not a dead ringer for Snoke, but he's got the little scar on his head. He's kind of misshapen and looking. It's a pretty good match for Snoke. And considering we saw a dead Snoke in a tank in Rise of Skywalker, you start to make the link that maybe this is some part of that program, the cloning program that ended up resurrecting Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, good sir.
Yeah, I don't know that much about that other than what was in the. So I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting for them to tell me.
All right. You're not going to just make wild, uncalled for theories. This is how they made Santa Claus.
It's interesting. I wanted them to have more meat to the story, so I don't know if I'm going to like this. I mean, I wanted it more.
I would rather them not bother linking it up to
I'd rather them try to develop actual clones from Baby Yoda's genetic material and not infuse it into a living creature. I think it's fairly
clear that they're not just trying to make a new Yoda. I think they're trying to take the DNA from Yoda's species and inject it into non-Yoda species folks.
Right. But they could have combined Yoda's genetic material with another.
And we're saying Yoda, but we're talking about Baby Yoda here.
Yeah.
Yoda's dead and gone.
Whatever Yoda's race is, it could have combined that genetic material with another one who's pliant,
So you mean, in other words, you'd get like a short human with long ears?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay. So the other thing we learned from the lab is this: we see the cloning tech that we met back in season 1 that took blood from Baby Yoda, and his life was spared. Actually, Mando spared him because he was like, "Oh, look, it wasn't me. I was forced to do this. Whatever." So he is leaving a message for Moff Gideon, and the message is only 3 days old. So this is also a clue to Mando that Moff Gideon's still alive, didn't die in the wreck at the end of season 1.
Yes.
But the message has a lot of really intriguing parts to it. Basically, okay, we don't have enough blood. I wasn't able to extract enough from Baby Yoda, so we need more. And you're not going to find a higher M count from somebody. So that was their way of soft pedaling midichlorians at us. And
yeah, I mean,
it's M count. It's not
interesting
midichlorians.
that the former Empire baddies are like, oh, there's trouble. We better purge all the information. Oh, we get stopped. Oh, what's on this panel? Oh, the exact information that we needed. Oh, that's so lucky.
So midichlorians, unfortunately, are still out there in the thing. I've ranted about midichlorians in the past, so we're fine with that. All right, fine. They need Baby Yoda back so they can get more blood. They ran a test. Apparently, it was successful on a subject for a fortnight, 2 weeks. I guess it probably gave Force abilities to a clone or somebody before it seemed like it was a catastrophic failure and the thing died. Maybe it's a thing in the tank. I don't know. But they've got another volunteer. They mentioned the word volunteer. And they're like, and the tech is saying like, I don't recommend giving the stuff to the volunteer at this point. It's still too dangerous, blah, 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 blah. He finishes off by then addressing Moff Gideon. So the volunteer is not Moff Gideon. I thought there's a potential that maybe Moff Gideon's just trying to do this for himself. Like, hey, look, get these tests going. I want to give myself force powers. But it's if that volunteer, whoever that volunteer is, I feel fairly certain is not Moff Gideon himself.
Oh, yeah.
So is it possible it's some weird version of Palpatine at this point? I don't know what he exists as in this moment. If he's just like a soul in a jar, I don't know what he is. But it sounds like that's not the case. I don't know. I don't think Palpatine is here in Navarro. I don't think that's really the lab. So
something else I don't have a theory about. I'm waiting for them to tell me.
How about this? Do you think that they threw out the idea of there's some volunteer that wants to get these force powers and they're going to argue against it? Do you think that's an important person? Do you think it's somebody we've already met, for instance?
Yeah, I don't feel like
You don't know. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty good at like keeping them separate, So, and unfortunately, since I don't follow the books and the series, there I may have had, a name in my head if that was the case. So for me, it's exciting to see what they want to tell me. Gotcha.
It just feels like if they were just gonna throw out some new person that we'd never heard of before.
I mean, I can speak about it like this, like either this plan to use his genetic material will be success or it won't.
Yeah.
The question will be will they get access to more genetic material? Will they get access to more blood? Are they going to successfully get the child away?
Well, now
from
that they're on their
Mandalorian?
way, they're after Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda's going to meet up with Ahsoka. So if you want high M counts, Ahsoka Tano could be a source of M count blood as well.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I'm guessing that this Baby Yoda species might be higher prone to that sort of thing.
Plus getting blood from a little baby is probably easier than getting blood from a fully experienced, highly combative, excellent fighter Jedi. So you're like, oh, get the tiny infant.
It's like, you don't want my blood. I don't want your blood.
When I first saw the Dark Troopers, I thought, well, maybe the experiment has to do with that. But that doesn't sound like. I don't think at this point in Moff Gideon's plan he's got force-sensitive Dark Troopers yet. For one thing, those Dark Troopers are not at the lab; they're on his ship. and they're still talking about how they had one subject that went boom, and they're trying to have another one subject. It seems like the experimentation phase is still really early, and they haven't been able to be like, oh, we perfected it. All these guys are fine now.
Yeah, it's like, oh
Watch
boy,
them.
we've sure been waiting. Hey, make some more of those things for when they have it. We don't have it. Just keep making them.
Yeah. Anyway, that's very important for later, methinks. But there are still some mysteries involved. There have been some rumors of some leaks about the upcoming episode. I'll briefly go over them. If you don't want to hear this stuff, just bamf out for about a minute. But essentially, things we're going to supposedly learn in the next episode. We're going to apparently learn Baby Yoda's name. Apparently his name is something like Grogu, something like that. We're going to learn Mando's going to have a brief confrontation apparently with Ahsoka Tano before they realize like kind of they're on the same side kind of thing. We're going to learn that Ahsoka has been trying to go after Admiral Thrawn, who did show up in Rebels and is a mastermind general essentially, and so that could be like the lead off for her spin-off series. But as a practical matter, she then is not going to take Baby Yoda. It's not going to be like here's Baby Yoda. Well, that's done. Now Mando's free. No, he's going to be like, okay, she's going to lead him off, I think, to like a Jedi temple or the next stop in this journey. So anyway, that's kind of some of the rumors from this next episode. Once again, hats off to the look of the show. I mean, that speeder chase looks awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Just the action scenes are just so top notch. And it's like just blows you away. Like, is this TV? Am I?
Yeah.
Jeez.
What do you make of the that thing between Captain Carson Teva and Cara Dune at the end?
Right. So we've got that X-wing pilot. He seems to be. We've seen him a few different times. Last time we saw him was with the ice spiders. Seems like he and Dave Filoni, they make the rounds. They're like patrolling the sector essentially, and so yeah, he kind of.
I feel like Cara is she does have affinities with the rebel forces.
Certainly, and she lost a whole bunch of folks on Alderaan.
Right.
Her family was killed when Alderaan was destroyed, so she has no love for the Empire. We know that she was then working with the rebellion, but then they made her start doing like, assassination type missions, and she was kind of like, I don't know about this, and that's why she stepped out. I think they're leading to that idea that she will perhaps join up back. She'll realize, pick a side, and I'm not going to pick the Moff Gideon side. The fact that he says there's stuff going on out that the folks in the Corps don't know about, that suggests things about like the First Order and those kind of things. In fact, there's that one scene too where the second in command to Moff Gideon says something like, "You will be rewarded in the new era." You're like, oh, yes. Okay. Now, interestingly though, if we go with the idea that thing in the tank was one of the clones of Snoke, let's say, that this is an early part of the attempts to resuscitate Palpatine, which could be. I mean, Moff Gideon seems to be a zealot of some kind, so he could be serving as greater purpose of Palpatine. If that's the case, he's not First Order, right? If that's the case, he's that Final Order. I think that's what they called it. So he's like the double secret bad guys that are still like really secret at this point. So it'll be interesting to see if we're seeing kind of the origins of the Final Order, or if we're seeing origins of the First Order. I'm not sure. Maybe both. This episode was directed by Carl Weathers. That was pretty cool. And good on him. Good stuff. And enjoyed the episode. And obviously he was a big part of it. I like his character quite a bit. Oh, we did see the appearance of brand new character, Jeff Blue Jeans. Jeff Blue Jeans, he's in canon now. They've actually created a little action figure for him. Admiral Blue Jeans. I'll put it up on here as a picture. But basically, this guy, you saw like a stagehand or whatever just hanging out in the background, and you just see blue jeans, shirt, watch. And so, of course, Star Wars nerds are like, he's in it. He's in canon. Jeff Blue Jeans. Next episode, Dave Filoni is directing it.
Yes.
And as I say, the rumors are strongly that this is an Ahsoka episode. So I think we can look forward to seeing this very, very popular character from the various animated parts of the lore now finally showing up in live action. Pretty cool, Rosario Dawson. So, all right. I think that's it, good sir. And happy Thanksgiving to you, Paul, and to everyone out there.
Yes, everyone have a happy Thanksgiving.
Indeed. And we will be back talking Star Trek Discovery and Mandalorian. Thanks a lot, everybody.